Hello and welcome to another On Topic show. I'm John Testa. I'm the county legislator here in northern Westchester, serving Peekskill, Cortlandt, and Yorktown. We're here today with another show with a lot of information to discuss and a couple guests actually to bring on, which we'll bring to you in a few minutes. But I want to get to the first bit of information, the most pressing issue that's kind of developed here at the end of the summer, and that is the MTA payroll tax issue. Many of you probably have heard or have seen in the news how the MTA payroll tax has become deemed and declared unconstitutional by the New York Supreme Court. And to me, that's a vindication of where we were just 2 years ago. And some of you may remember when this tax came down, and Nassau County, which was the first county to really challenge this tax, filed a lawsuit declaring that this law was unconstitutional. I was the one at the County Board of Legislators who spearheaded the initiative to have our county join that suit. I was joined in an initiative back then 2 years ago with County Legislator Vincent Tamagna, who happens to also be the chairman of the board for the Putnam County Board of Legislators. So we were together, and Putnam County was joining the suit. I felt Westchester should join the suit. I brought that to my colleagues on the Board of Legislature here in Westchester. They agreed. We voted to do that. The county executive and I discussed it. He agreed as well it was worth pursuing, which they did in the administration. And by the end of 2010, the County of Westchester did join that suit. And now here we are 2 years later, vindicated by the Supreme Court of New York. With some colleagues of mine recently to praise this ruling. The state legislators who represent this area were there. County Executive Rob Astorino was there. Locals, we did it in Yorktown. We will stick together. I'll bring you information as it unfolds. You'll see it in the news. And hopefully in a short time we'll be putting this issue completely behind us. The courts will uphold the unconstitutionally rule, and we'll be able to move forward. I'm joined by a good friend of ours here. You recognize George Oros. He's the chief of staff for Rob Astorino. He used to be in my position here. And George, what was your feeling about the MTA ruling?
Well, I think it was great, and John, as you pointed out, you were very instrumental in this. I think that your constituents need to know that you were the first legislator to speak up when you heard that Nassau County was bringing this lawsuit and said, "Can Westchester piggyback? Can we get involved?" You came to Rob Astorino, and Rob said, "Yes, let's do it," and it's a good thing we did. I see that some of the other counties in the metropolitan transit area that did not get in are now scrambling to try to see how they can get in here and maybe benefit from this. So it was a great move, and Rob Astorino appreciates you bringing it to our attention and making sure we got it done.
Well, he did a great job of directing the county attorney to make it happen, and took a little bit of work because it is an extensive amount of work to join a lawsuit like that, and we did, and now we're so happy we did.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy you're here today, George, because there's a lot of county issues that we're dealing with, and probably the biggest one is the housing settlement, and a lot of things are always in the news about it. Why don't you bring us up to speed with the housing settlement?
Well, the good news on the housing settlement is the county is well ahead of the benchmarks that were set for the 750 units of fair and affordable housing that had to be built under the settlement. As of the end of this year, at the end of 2012, we have to have 150 units with building permits, and we've already exceeded that. We've also exceeded the number that need the financing in place. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have a very heavy-handed government in Washington. The Department of Housing and Urban Development wants to stretch the terms of this settlement, which, by the way, when I was in your shoes, voted against it for some of these very reasons that are coming up now. It was a very ambiguous, somewhat open-ended agreement. And now the federal government's trying to use that to their advantage and really trample on home rule and local zoning, as well as forcing the county to adopt what's called a source of income law, which would require all landlords, be them big or small. You know, if you own as little as two-family homes, you would be impacted by this law and have to do business with the federal government. And the irony of this is, by the way, as you know from being here in the city of Peekskill, there are more apartments that accept Section 8 vouchers than actual vouchers that are around. So the federal government trying to do this is not going to increase the ability of one person to be able to use that Section 8 voucher where they can't already. So it's just an example, I think, of heavy-handedness in Washington. Rob Astorino has stood firm. We are under the rattling of the sabers by the court. And so we are going to comply by submitting a letter to the Board of Legislators asking them to look at the source of income law. But Rob Astorino, to his credit, said he's not going to affirm to the court at this time that he's going to sign that legislation. So,
and the irony is, and I've gotten plenty of calls, as you can imagine, by landlords and others once they've heard more about this push by the federal government for this source of income. It's actually going to have the opposite effect. It's going to take apartments off the line, and people are going to stop getting into the landlord business, or they'll go underground with finding their tenants and take a real chance of getting a $50,000 fine if they're caught doing it. So it's going to put a lot of people in a bad spot, and it's going to have less housing for the people who need it.
Right.
And when a lot of people, there are people who are landlords who prefer to go into the Section 8 program. And there's some who don't.
Right.
They don't want to be in a contract with the federal government, which is basically what happens.
Correct.
So we'll see where that goes.
Well, and by the way, the county executive has, and the county is appealing in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals of the federal government on the ruling. By the way, people have to know that the first ruling on this, where we interpreted the agreement to say that the current county executive had the ability to veto the legislation because it dealt with the prior administration. The first court we went to, the magistrate there upheld the county's position. Second court overruled it, and we're in a third court. And what's disturbing to us is that while that appeal process is still going on in the Second Circuit and will probably be decided in 2 to 3 months down the road, the federal government, for whatever reason, through the Department of Justice and HUD, has come in and said, if you don't do something right now, we're going to censure you for contempt of court. And so that's why we're sending the letter to the board, but we'll see what happens.
No, it's a tough spot, and I'm glad that the county executive's taken the stand he is, especially on the zoning as well, because as a former mayor, I know that your zoning laws are very important to any municipality, and for the state, or the county, I should say, to be forced to sue individual municipalities over their zoning so they can build high-rises anywhere they want, or if there's no mass transit, build them anyway. So the planning comes out of...
There's a real key, anybody that goes to the county website and looks up the housing settlement, there's a very key letter dated from May 11th of last year. Maybe it's May 13th of last year. And that letter is from HUD, and it outlines, and where in that letter they admit they want to go beyond the four corners of the settlement. And in there they spell out, and you know, their interpretation of
they admit
they're going past it, and they also indicate that to them, impediments to fair and affordable housing include restrictions on the height of buildings, include restrictions on setbacks, and include restrictions on where you can locate multifamily housing. So if HUD had their way, you could be in what's now a one-family zone where you have quarter acre or half acres, and then come in and say, no, you should be able to build a 6-unit or 8-unit or 10-unit building there. What that will do to people's property values is devastating. This county, we analyzed the zoning, all 843 zoning districts in Westchester County, and we examined all 43 municipalities. Each municipality in this county provides for multifamily housing. Many of them provide density bonuses for people to build affordable housing. And we've won numerous awards over the years, this administration and prior ones, for affordable housing. So this is just, to me, overextension by the current federal government.
And just so everyone knows, in my district here in northern Westchester, Cortlandt and Yorktown are included in this settlement, but the city of Peekskill, where we are today, is not. But they have a separate problem here in Peekskill. We have the block grants that have been held up by HUD, and why don't you just touch on that, because that's an important part of what Peekskill expects and plans for each year.
Well, what HUD has done is unilaterally cut off the spigot, claiming that the county's not following the stipulation. This is even before a court has said we're not following the stipulation. Yet they unilaterally, a year and a half ago, turned off some $13 million, and of course, we're not getting any money this year, which is another $13 million. And the irony of all of that is, you are absolutely correct, the bulk of that money, I would say about 80% of it, goes to areas and municipalities that do not have to provide for the affordable housing because they've already met what the federal government sees as the guideline there. So they're hurting the very people they shouldn't be hurting. It also cuts off funding for homeless prevention programs, foreclosure prevention programs. So the very people that the federal government and the housing and urban development folks are saying they're trying to help, they're penalizing by the fact that without a court ruling, without anybody other than HUD saying we're not following the agreement.
Recently, everybody received in the mail this prescription discount card. Can you explain a little bit about that? It's something I think is wonderful for the county-wide residents.
Well, it's a terrific thing. No cost to the county. The mailing didn't cost a dime. This doesn't cost anything. It's run through an organization called the New York State Association of Counties. And what it does, if you have no prescription coverage with your health insurance, or if you're underinsured, undercovered with your prescription plan, you can use this ProAct card going through the pharmacies that accept it, and you will get some pretty decent discounts on medications that you may need. So it was a program, it took us a while to come onto it. We discovered there were other plans out there as well, but out of the 57 counties in New York State outside of the 5 boroughs, out of the 57 counties, about 50 of them went with this one, and we eventually, after studying it, said this is a good deal and we're going to go do it. And again, it doesn't cost the county one dime. So the day that this stadium was dedicated, then County Executive Spano was here as the county executive. I was here as the legislator. You were here as the mayor. And I know that county executive, myself as the legislature, and you as mayor worked very, very hard to build this stadium and get the funding in place and do all the things that had to be done. And it's a great partnership and cooperative effort, and it's a nice stadium. And you presented me with the bat. I've forgotten. We all signed a bat, or several bats that day, all the dignitaries that were there. And you presented that to the museum. It has all our names.
that was. I thought that was an appropriate thing to do. You know, we worked very hard to make this happen. It's a beautiful field. It's used quite a bit. And since this field is named Peekskill Stadium, and the reason I came up with that name when I was in the planning stages as mayor for the field is the field you mentioned that was where A&P was called Peekskill Stadium for the Peekskill Highlanders. So we're only a stone's throw away from that field. So I thought it would be appropriate to honor that team by renaming this field Peekskill Stadium. So actually we have the presentation that was made there at Peekskill Stadium that when I presented the bat, and we're going to go to that now. Thanks, George. Thrilled to be here today, and I know how much work went into putting this together. I met with Bob a couple times, and he explained to me all the people he had to contact and all the work and research he's done. So this is a thrill. I grew up with the Jets, so speaking of football, you know, I actually got to experience the Jets, but I never got to experience the Highlanders, and it was always something that I regretted. I heard all the stories from my father and others about the great times of the baseball team here. So as I grew up and played baseball myself, I thought about it quite a bit. There was a group of us not too many years ago who got together who wanted to bring regulation-sized baseball back. We had plenty of Little League and other types of level of baseball, but we wanted to have our own taste of full-size regulation adult baseball here in Peekskill. So we did for a number of years. We looked for locations. We tried to convince those in office to help us build it. Nobody seemed to be interested. They always went back to another Little League field, which we didn't need. We wanted something that a professional team could come and play for, and maybe even entice a team back to Peekskill. So it took me to become a member of the local government to make it happen. And when I became a city councilman in the late 90s, I tried for 4 years as a councilman. Didn't quite get there, but then I became mayor, and I was able to make it happen, and I'm very proud of the Peekskill Stadium. We call it the Peekskill Stadium in honor of you, in honor of the Peekskill Highlanders and the Peekskill Stadium that was here when you played. So please accept our honor in naming the stadium the Peekskill Stadium in honor of the Peekskill Highlanders. Now, George will remember this because he was in my position 8 years ago, actually tomorrow's the 21st, right? 8 years ago tomorrow, exactly, we christened and dedicated the stadium. And everybody who came that day, I had a special bat made up at the Cooperstown Bat Company. And everyone who was here that day signed it. And also a professional baseball was signed that day by everybody who was present. And I want to present these to the Peekskill Museum today to have in their collection. Hopefully they will display that forevermore. George, you're on here. So again, thank you for the memories, the history that you gave us here in Peekskill, and we look forward to seeing you all weekend. Enjoy the week. few issues for our area that you may be interested in. Some of them you probably cannot miss. One of them being the Main Street rehabilitation of all of Main Street. The rehabilitation meaning new curbs being put in, ADA compliant corners being put in, and other repairs before it's completely repaved. Main Street, Route 6, is owned by the county from the project that was completed a couple years ago at the bridges at Route 9 all the way to Cortlandt Avenue behind the Beach Shopping Center. That whole strip is going to be done and is in the process of being done as we speak. It'll be done late fall, and that whole corridor will be repaved and rehabilitated. That was something I was able to get through with my colleagues last year, the funding to be put in place for the work to be done now, just as I was just able to get the funding in place for the design of rehabilitating Route 202 Crampon Road. That's going to be done as well, right from the center of downtown Peekskill all the way out to where you see the project being done now at the hospital. That's where the state takes over. Route 202, right by the animal hospital, is where the state picks up the road, so the county portion will be done as well. So that'll be done probably next spring. But the design process is going on now. Repairs are being done here and there on Route 202. So we're proud of those two projects. Two of the things I've been trying to do since becoming the county legislator is to upgrade all the county-owned infrastructure in the northern part of the county. It's been ignored for a long time. The parks as well have a lot of work that had been needed and still needs to be done. Last year we were able to repave and fix the parking lots in Blue Mountain Park as well as George's Island, both county parks. And recently we were able to now have the planning begin for the rehabilitation of some of the buildings in Blue Mountain as well as the Blue Mountain Sportsman Center. And it's been a real honor for me, speaking of parks, to have my colleagues at the board appoint me as the county board representative on the County Parks Commission. So now I'm able to represent all of Westchester on the parks, and I've been recently put in the position. It's an honor with all the work they saw that I did as mayor here in Peekskill, here at Peekskill Stadium, being one of those accomplishments we were able to do, and all the other parks that we were able to rehabilitate throughout the city of Peekskill and the riverfront. And with the work I've been doing at the county, they felt that I was the one to be the representative, so I appreciate that. It was a real honor for my colleagues to support me. So actually, we're now in the 50th anniversary of the county park system. So you can go on the county website. Through my website might be the easiest way, johngtesta.com. There's a link to the county website, or you can go directly to westchestergov.com and go under the parks and get this brochure. They're around in different venues around the county, but you can get it online, all the activities going on in the parks as we move forward through 2012. Another great project we were able to do, I was so happy to be a part of, which was the rehabilitation and upgrading of the senior center in Yorktown. The seniors in Yorktown for a long time have been needing a new location and rehab of their existing location, and we did what we could from the county point of view to bring some funding in to help the town of Yorktown design and rehabilitate the senior center. It's a great new place. We were there recently this spring for the ribbon cutting and for the opening of the new center, and it's being well used, as most senior centers are. I try to do whatever I can to help the seniors throughout the district, and this is just another example. So congratulations to the town of Yorktown and the seniors of Yorktown enjoying their new location. Another initiative, speaking of seniors and also veterans, as a matter of fact, I want to talk about an initiative that is just about complete, and that is with an organization I've been working closely with called the Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. They're a great organization that brings free legal services to seniors and others who are in need. Right now, the only place that you can go to get these services if you're a senior citizen is to White Plains and Mount Vernon, and we're looking to bring a dedicated office here to northern Westchester, the Peekskill, Cortlandt, Yorktown region, and not only to serve seniors but also to serve veterans. So we're going to be bringing that to you soon. The details are being worked out, and I'll be happy to bring that news to you when it's done, and so stay tuned for seniors and veterans, a dedicated office here in northern Westchester to serve your needs in the legal community. Now let's go to our next guest, someone you probably will recognize, Rosemarie Panio, who is from this area, from Yorktown, and who has been very involved with the local hospital in Cortland, the Hudson Valley Hospital Center. So let's go to that interview now. Hello everybody, we're here at the Hudson Valley Hospital Center, right here on Route 202, Crampon Road, in the town of Cortland. And a special guest here today, someone you may recognize, Rosemarie Panio. Rosemarie and her husband, Rocco, had the Panio Liquors for 40 years in the city of Peekskill in the Crossroads Plaza. She's a Yorktown resident, involved in many, many organizations throughout the area. We've worked together on the Lincoln Society in Peekskill on the board there quite a bit. And today we're here at the Hudson Valley Hospital Center because Rosemarie is on the foundation board and they're having a special event. She puts a lot of time into this event, into the hospital, and we have her here on the show today to talk to us about the event, and maybe you might be interested in attending. Rosemarie, how are you? Thank you for being here.
How are you? It's a beautiful day.
Beautiful day. It's a great place here. The Hudson Valley Hospital has done a lot over the last 10 years or more, expansions and such. But you are here obviously to help with the foundation with a special event.
Yes, we have a wine tasting event almost every year, and what we do is we taste wines and foods from around the world. That's our motto this year, is wine and dine around the world. Right. And we're going to have it at Trump National Golf Course in Briarcliff Manor on November 15th from 6 to 9 p.m. And it's a lovely event. We get to meet a lot of people who are very interested in wine and foods and the hospital, because we're so happy that all the proceeds will go to the Ashikari Breast Care Center Fund. And it's just a wonderful event, and we do it for a great reason. We can provide state-of-the-art health care to people who need it very close to home, so it's a very nice thing. We have wine vendors who come, and we have also invited area restaurants to come and either send us their signature dish or actually come and prepare it there so that people will see the type of food that they have. And if they let us know that they are willing to participate before September 21st, we will actually put their names on the invitation. So they get a little bit of publicity. People come and taste their food along with the wine. We do the pairings, and we have a great time, and we raise some money for a great cause.
So this is a real experience for somebody who goes. They get to go there, they get to taste obviously wonderful wines from around the world. Right. They get to taste wonderful food from the area, mixed with people at a great place in Trump golf course down there, right? His conference center. So it's a real experience. How much is it a person to go?
It's $100 a person, and all of that will go to the breast care fund. They actually carry breast, and we virtually have very little expense because of the fact that the venue is donated, the wines are donated, and the food is donated.
Great. So if somebody wanted to inquire about this, they could call or they could write email at the foundation at hvhc.org.
Yes, foundation at hvhc.org.
And the phone number is
734-3526.
734-3526.
Yes.
That's great. We'll make sure we put that on the screen, and we make sure that we have that at the end of the show.
We appreciate that very much.
Thank you for joining us today.
It's so nice to see you again.
Good luck with your event.
Thank you. Thank you.
Finally, the last segment of the show before we leave you is to just discuss some of the events that took place around the district recently. One of them happens annually. It's a very important event here in the city of Peekskill. Actually, we're here on the area where the stadium is. This whole area was the Fleischmann plant for many, many years up until the 1970s. And back in 1918, there was a horrific tragedy fire in the Fleischmann plant of that year, and 7 firefighters in the city of Peekskill were killed in that blaze and fighting that fire. And ever since, 94 years now, the Peekskill Volunteer Fire Department makes sure that they recognize and honor those 7 members, and they make sure they have a memorial service on August 1st each and every year. Also, there was an event just up the road in Mohegan Lake in Yorktown. A new business opened up. I always try to be there to support new businesses. A TCBY yogurt, a frozen yogurt shop opened up in Mohegan Lake, actually in the area where the old Charlie Brown restaurant was, for those of you who may remember, out there in Mohegan Lake. Also adjacent to the TCBY is now open a Pizza Hut. So this proprietor and his wife run both of them together, and it's a wonderful business, so please stop out there. Soon to come next to that, and we'll be bringing that to you in a new show, is an IHOP. Another proprietor out in Yorktown is going to be opening up that business soon, so we look forward to that. Also in Yorktown was a very, very important and solemn event that took place recently, and I want to give congratulations to Supervisor Grace and the town board for putting together a very important event, the dedication of a memorial plaque to a veteran from the area who gave his life in Afghanistan, David Fahey, in 2011, a youngster who grew up and was part of the Yorktown community. Was a very important event for the community, brought the community together, and the family was there, and the father gave a very moving speech. Others were there to mark that memorial occasion and to have that plaque dedicated, brought the community together, and you can go and see that plaque in the Patriot Garden that they have behind Town Hall there in Yorktown. So please stop by and look at that. Speaking of veterans, another event that took place recently in the town of Cortlandt, and the town of Cortlandt is very dedicated to their veterans, and the supervisor and board there have numerous occasions where they do that, and this was no exception. In Verplank, a new memorial park was opened up at the end of Broadway in Verplank, right along the river, in a beautiful location where the local American Legion worked with the town board to create a plaque and an area to go visit. It's a beautiful little park for veterans. Please go down to Verplank at the end of Broadway, right where the river is, and you'll be able to visit that park. It was a great occasion and a great cause. Another show comes to an end. I want to thank you for joining me. If you need to contact me, please don't hesitate. The best way would be through my website, johngtesta.com. At my website, you can email me. You can go to my blog, which is a link to my blog, a link to my Facebook page. If you want to contact me through Facebook, you can go to the YouTube channel that has all my TV shows. You'll see past on-topic shows as well as other videos. You can call me at my office, 914-995-2828. If you need to call me directly. Many of you run into me as I go to different events throughout the district. You just see me. Don't hesitate to say hello. If you have any concerns, don't hesitate to let me know. So until the next time, we'll see you on the next On Topic.